love American Christmases. The tree, the presents, the super-powered reindeer. Have you ever eaten reindeer?
Cannot say I've had the pleasure, no.
No, it is not a pleasure. You have to braise it for a really long time.
And I'm Noah. And you're
Your
listening
line.
to A Bite of... God, why?
Oh.
I'm sorry, guys.
Do we need to switch it up?
No, we don't.
Switch it up.
And you're listening to A Bite of...
Where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Yeah, sorry. We just saw Spider-Man No Way Home. We're not going to talk about it on this episode, I swear. Promise, no spoilers. We're not going to do it. But my brain is just like not... It's mush right now from just being like pulverized by spectacularness and amazingness at the same time. So...
Yeah, I concur. I mean, it was very entertaining. I'll leave it at that.
Stop it.
I'll leave it at that.
We're going to have an episode that comes out talking about this because how could we not?
How coming could we not way home? That didn't work. But
Okay.
I tried.
But so a few housekeeping announcements. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at A Bite of Pod. We got a Patreon. You can support the show if you like it. And then...
Yeah.
What?
Mention it.
Yeah.
Do it. That's where I was going.
We have limited edition Hawkeye sweatshirt merch. That's only going to be here until the end of December. So, I mean, if you want to grab it, get it. You can check it out on our website or on our Facebook shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. That's not where I was headed. But
I know
I
it
will
wasn't.
say that I did receive my embroidered A Bite of branded sweatshirt, and I effing love it.
Oh, yeah, that's another new staple merch. It's
Love
great.
it.
You'll see a picture floating around.
Floating around. So my thing is that we received a mysterious ornament.
Oh, yeah. We got this package. We didn't open up until we got home. And I was like, wait, Derek, did you order this? He's like, no. And I was like, wait, who is this from?
It was addressed to A Bite of Derek and Noah. And so
Yeah.
we opened it. There's no note in it. There's no message. But it's this adorable ornament with these two bearded elf gnome guys. And it's just like our first Christmas, Derek and Noah 2021.
Yeah, as newlyweds. It
It's
is.
so sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Comment below. Is it you?
I have my suspicions on who it might be.
Agreed. Same.
Because it's like very few people have our actual mailing address.
Yeah.
But I mean, if more people want to send us stuff, by all means, you can just like ask us and we'll tell you a place you can send stuff. But like, wow.
It was so sweet. We really, really, really love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going to put it on a tree.
Yay.
We're actually going on our little... Okay. So also, side note before we get into this episode, for our honeymoon, which we're going to go on tomorrow, initially and originally was supposed to be in Copenhagen,
Yeah.
Denmark.
Yeah.
But COVID numbers are getting bad. It's the world we live in. So, disappointment. But we changed gears and we're deciding to go up north to New Hampshire originally.
Yes.
First Vermont and now New
Right.
Hampshire.
Well, it's funny because at the beginning of this season, we were like, we're so excited for Hawkeye, but things are going to get complicated. And you were like, no, don't mention it. And it's like, it was going to get complicated because we were going to be in Europe when like the final Hawkeye episode came out.
Right. And how do we watch that?
Right. How do we watch it? How do we record there? We're not going to bring our microphones, but now we're going to be in the United States of America. So everything's going to just be right on schedule.
Yeah. I mean, the final Hawkeye episode will come out pretty much on Christmas. So, I mean, you don't have to listen to it on Christmas. Spend time with your families and, enjoy the holidays, but it's going to be there.
Fa la 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 for final episode
Yeah.
of Hawkeye.
So let's actually start talking about this episode.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
yeah.
We've talked a little bit about
And
nonsense.
as we do, we like to refresh our memories about what happened in the last episode. Let's take a look back at Hawkeye episode 4, Partners. Am I right?
Sure.
So after a tense conversation over a katana, Eleanor tries to get Hawkeye to forget this case, quote unquote. He heads to Kate's aunt's place to heal, and Kate follows, where the pair enjoy a merry night of planning, decorating, learning trick shots, and drinking frozen daiquiris. Delightful. Oh, and Kate figures out that he's Ronin.
Smooth.
Laura calls Clint and tells him she has located the tracking device in the watch to none other than Maya Lopez's apartment. So they head there. Kate goes in to explore, but is thwarted by the homeowner herself. Clint gets his own surprise on the rooftop across the way. Kate has an eerily similar fall. Maya heads in the other direction, and Yelena surprises us all. Hello, French braid. Clint tells Kate to go home, and the pair go their separate ways.
Yeah. I mean, good thing you brought that up because she, sadly, and also kind of sweetly, she's wearing the same braid that Natasha wears. And
She
it's
hearts
kind
her sister.
I know. It's sweet. It's sad.
It's like sweet and sad. And this character, which we'll get into later, has like so many dichotomies, and I'm so in love with her, but we'll get into it later.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Do not
spoiler
listen
alert.
any further.
Right.
If you do not want to be spoiled. So let us officially take a bite of Hawkeye episode 5, Ronin.
Yay. I was so looking forward to this episode. Ugh, so many
Hawkeye's
emotions.
deep, dark past.
Yeah, so again, we're in another episode where will Clint get home for the holidays? Probably not.
Home.
One of the parents probably won't get home.
Oh.
I have my theories.
Oh, you mean of all the parents involved in the series?
No, I mean of Laura and Clint.
Oh, no. He said dead. He said ding dong dead. I mean, I kind of agree, though, right? I'm kind of thinking that somehow some tracksuit mafia folk are going to show up at that beautiful little shiplap cabin they got there.
Yeah, somebody.
It's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm. So, episode 5 kicks off with a flashback to 2018. Yelena, accompanied by another Black Widow, Sonya, are hard at work trying to free the other widows around the world from the Red Room. Turns out this lavish mansion-owning widow, Anya, didn't need to be saved at all.
No.
Nope.
Girl's living in a mansion. She's wearing palazzo pants. She's fine.
Yeah. Turns out this widow makes money by doing what widows do best. Flipping, killing people, other things.
She flips homes on HGTV.
No,
and then
like
she
actual
murders
flipping.
people. Oh.
Although that house was fantastic.
Oh, it's real
Just
fancy.
saying. Excusing herself to go to the restroom, Yelena starts to feel odd and then suddenly dusts away. Poof. A victim of the blip, which we kind of assumed, but now it's confirmed she was blipped. Before she can really comprehend what's happening, though, she's back in the same bathroom, but things have changed. She finds the same house she was previously in, but it's different. 5 years have passed, and it's a lot for Yelena to digest. And I'm just going to say, I do prefer like Anna's 2018 bathroom decor to the now, and I put that in quotes, present bathroom one. I'm not a fan of that green and
Hating
gold.
on the sage green.
No.
Tranquil in the bathroom.
No, I'm okay.
I want to point out that I liked this blip moment. I feel like we've gotten so far in these Disney Plus series, these Marvel Disney Plus series, we've gotten 2 moments of returning from the blip, right? So in WandaVision, we saw Monica returning from the blip when she was waiting in the hospital for her mother. And here in this show, we see Yelena actually be blipped and then come back from the blip.
Yeah.
I liked that effect of her going in there and then the things changing around.
It's
her.
literally just 5 seconds for them.
Yeah.
Like there's no comprehension of what the hell happened.
Yeah, this felt more jarring than Monica's blip.
They both heartbreaking. It's
True.
like Monica was in the hospital because her mom was dying. Her mom's dead, by the way. She didn't get blipped, unfortunately. But it's like she was there waiting for her. And then also Yelena goes to the bathroom, comes back, sister's dead. Like, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not great times to be blipped.
I do love that Yelena comes out of the bathroom and there's clearly a child playing there,
Yeah.
but she's like with her like freaking Black Widow stinger thing. She's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, the
I'll
child's
kill you
like,
in front of this child.
I'm playing Legos. Like,
She's like, "What? I'm just enjoying an afternoon in my home."
I do like that Anna tells her that Sonya got rich as well. So that's great. So Sonya didn't get blipped, but she went on to get rich, which I'm assuming means that she is working for somebody. But we do know that Yelena subsequently started working for the morally dubious Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, aka Val. So it seems like she's going to do the same at some point. So I'm wondering if Anna, like that's the connection there. Like Anna introduced her to Val, and then that's how.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what is the life of a widow after they're a widow? You know, what do they know how to do in the world?
You could become an Avenger.
Or kill. Contract murders. You know, I do think, though, it's interesting, right? Yelena was on this quest to sort of deprogram all the widows in the world, but then she disappears for 5 years. She comes back, and then she starts kind of contract killing. So did she stop this quest that her, like Natasha had set her on?
Well, I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, it seemed like she was excited to have like that Sex in the City moment with Natasha. So I think once her last, like, true family member is kind of gone. I mean, I think her priorities just shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, whatever. Val, hit me up.
I mean, she wanted that Sex in the City life, but she's really having an end like that life.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, things get dark in the new Sex in the City reboot, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's interesting. So this scene takes place after the Black Widow movie, but before the end credit scene of that movie. My voice cracked, sorry. But it's a weird in-between moment from the Black Widow movie and then the end credit scene in that movie, because obviously she hadn't met Val yet. So it's interesting. So we got the in-between of what's happening.
I mean, I feel like in anybody who's enjoying the MCU's mind, we all have this insane timeline going. And whenever something new happens, you're kind of like clicking something into place and you're like, all right, this happened here.
Well, it's really smart.
That's happening there.
It's smart for them to have these time gaps because they can have stories in between them. And I'm finding that this whole 5-year blip nonsense is actually fostering a lot of stories to happen from it. But it does make it confusing because technically the current time in the MCU is further in the future from our current time.
Right.
Whereas prior to that, it was kind of following our actual real time.
Right.
And now it's just in the future.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Westview and Hawkeye and all this stuff is, 2023 and beyond?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So next we get Kate and Mother Dearest. Back in the present day, following the rooftop battle, which ended with Clint sending her home, Kate returned to her mom's penthouse apartment, bruised and defeated. Eleanor tended to Kate's wounds, while Kate beat herself up for not living up to her superhero's image she had in her head, which is really, it's kind of sad. I mean, she did all of this in spite of a tragedy with her dad. She saw her heroes. She wanted to emulate them. She wanted to be them. And then you literally have your heroes being like, go home. You can't handle this. You're not good enough. So it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and I feel bad for her.
Yeah, she's brokenhearted. Listen, if there's one thing I learned from season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race, it's don't meet your heroes, okay? Jocelyn Fox met Courtney Act.
Oh my God.
She loved her, and Courtney Act called her the low-rent version of Courtney Act.
Well, that's just mean.
Yeah, she broke her heart.
At least Clint told her, while he couldn't hear, that she's one of the greatest archers. So at least there was some compliments exchanged.
And it's funny because this is like the second time that Clint's been like, all right, peace out, bye. But she just keeps coming back and he just keeps seeing her value. So I think there's that. But you're right. In this moment, she's once again heartbroken.
Yeah. I mean, she's obviously formidable and she can hold her own. She still has a lot to learn, which I like that they've balanced that in this show, where it's like, yeah, she's fantastic at being an archer and maybe kind of snooping around, but she's a good fighter. But she doesn't have that tact. She's not used those skills in the real world with actual bad guys.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between being a world-class archer and being an Avenger.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's taking those skills and putting them into action.
Yeah.
You have to learn.
And this moment almost kind of seems sweet because that's what's interesting about this. And that's why I kind of like Eleanor's character, Farmiga's character in this, is that we know that she's bad. Like, there's always been a weird thing about her, and especially Jack. Just their relationship alone was a huge red flag. But it's like, oh, she's consoling her, so it's kind of nice. It's like, maybe she's in the position she is, you know, because we find out at the end of this episode who she's kind of actually working for. No, maybe she's in that so that way she always was able to provide for her. Like, we don't really know her true motivations. Like,
Right.
is she mad at the world because her husband died? Is she doing it to also provide for her daughter? Is she doing it because the world's unjust? You know, it's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, and I was thinking about even just her motivation in this one moment. I feel like there's like sort of three things. Maybe it's a mix of them. Maybe it's only one. She's kind of being like, yeah, baby, that hurt. I know, it's okay. You don't have to do it anymore. Maybe this wasn't your path. And I'm thinking, why is she saying those things to her? And I was like, there's three things. One of them is just maybe she's like just trying to get her out of the way in the sense of like, you're in the way of my mission. Get out of here, kid.
Right.
A second thing can be because she's her mother and she doesn't want to see her get hurt anymore. She's literally tending to her physical wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the third reason is she doesn't want her daughter to get mixed up in the type of stuff that she's mixed up in.
Yeah.
Don't be like me. Don't follow in my footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the one.
I agree. I think there is some of that there. But then this whole conversation like flips and she just keeps asking questions about Clint. So it's like her like in her motherly instincts are to protect her. And then like whatever she's been doing for how many years is like, wait, no, I need to find out what's happening with this Clint guy.
Whenever these sort of moments happen, for some reason in my mind, motivation sung by the amazing Normani comes into my head. Because it's like, I'm gonna break you off, let me be a motivation. But like, what is your motivation? Why are you poking and prodding and asking these questions?
Yeah, I mean,
Do we know? What's she doing?
It is. I do like that, even though Kate was kind of taken down a notch by her hero, she does explain that he protected her, but he sent her away to be safe. So I'm glad that she has that in her head to like realize that, even though it does suck, because it's like, I was with an Avenger, I was helping him out, we're in this together, and then okay, I guess not.
Yeah, and but that's the thing, is that no matter what, she respects Clint. She looks up to him.
Well,
even if he's sending her away, she's able to see. I mean, maybe she's sort of blinded by her idolization of him, but she still looks at him with honor. And, you know, as she's saying all this stuff, behind her in her childhood bedroom is a Hawkeye poster.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I mean, if superheroes were real... No, never mind. I mean, superheroes aren't real, and there were still posters on my wall of them. So either way, if they were real or not real, which they are not real.
I have this scene made me think of the very clear picture of the framed Power Rangers poster I had in my bedroom as a child.
Fun.
Yeah, they were like in the command center. It was beautiful.
Yeah. In this conversation, Kate confesses that she and Clint uncovered evidence incriminating Jack and his company Sloan Limited and asked Eleanor to look into it. Mom looked real shocked that Kate was giving allegation. I mean, it was like, we get it. Like, both of you, there's more to you. So it's like these weird moments, and we'll kind of get into it with Jack later, but like, I think Farmiga's interpretation of that is a little better because she has the added benefit of being the mother to Kate. So it's like, oh, that part's believable. But you kind of sidestepping anything with Jack or other things happening is not believable.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this in our last episode. That whole like chestnuts roasting on an open fire dance sequence felt awkward and kind of clunky.
Black.
And we sort of see this again, and it's interesting. It's like, is it because like Farmiga and I don't know, do they not have enough background for these characters to really base them in some sort of reality? But it doesn't come off as authentic.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eleanor does end up looking into that and discovering that Kate was right and realizing he's not the man he says he is. The cops are called and Jack is handcuffed and escorted out of the Bishop penthouse. And let's be honest, Jack is not great at pretending at all. Either that's a choice they made or the actor just isn't good at being coy.
He says, oh my God, this is fine. We are fine. I love you. Goodbye. So weird.
Yeah, it's like also, so we know who the man is behind the curtain at this point, you know.
Oz.
Just going to say it, Kingpin.
Oh.
And he is he's the type of person, and if you watch the Netflix Daredevil stuff, you know that he has people in all levels of government, state stuff or whatever. And it's like, I don't trust whoever these cops are or whatever they are. It's too well executed. Kate comes in and then he's getting escorted out. And it's kind of like, see, Kate, I'm on your side. Jack is bad and he's gonna be getting questioned. So it's like kind of trying to get her off her trail.
Or is it possible that like Eleanor wasn't looking too much into Jack and like is kind of like, thanks, Kate, because now I have one less obstacle in my way for my ultimate plan?
She knows, but that's the like since she works for Kingpin, he does as well. She knows it.
Yeah, so
it's all a farce.
I mean, farts.
Farce.
So, or are Eleanor and Jack in cahoots? And she's like, listen, babe, look, Kate,
Jackie Poo.
She told me this. I gotta look just to make it look real. I gotta turn you in.
That's exactly what was happening.
Okay.
It was too much in Kate's face. It's almost like they're not telling us, the viewer, that he's not bad. It's telling the character, or trying to throw the character off. And
Gotcha.
I think that's what I'm trying to understand with these characters. It's not really throwing us off, really. It's throwing the character off for their actions later on. I don't know. Whatever.
So it seems like it's a marriage of convenience, folks. It's not true love.
No, they might like each other.
They're in cahoots.
No, I think they like each other.
What?
I mean, it's whatever.
All
We
right.
don't have
They're
to care about the
evil.
relationship.
They're evil.
We don't have to care about the relationship. Anyway.
He said, screw your theories. I'm moving on.
Meanwhile, Kazi and Maya are cleaning themselves up because of the so many rooftop scratches that they received the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Kazi tends to Maya's shoulder wound and once again begs her to lay off her quest for vengeance against Ronin. There's a very good reason probably why he's trying to do that.
Yeah.
Though he is persistent, Maya will still not budge and refuses to give up. Kazi caves, they'll hunt down Ronin together, but then that's it. After this, Maya has to put the Ronin stuff to bed once and for all. What we know of this case, I mean, he's obviously not wanting her to continue this pursuit of it for personal reasons.
Yeah. I mean, this scene is a complete mirror of the scene of Kate with her mother that we saw just before.
Exactly.
It's sort of the antagonist cleaning the wounds of the hero, trying to get them to stop the quest that they are currently on.
Yeah, and I think Maya's like echo senses are tingling a little bit because with Yelena now involved, I think she's seeing like maybe this isn't as straightforward as it seems.
Yeah.
It might be a little bigger, and there is some questions to be asked about all of the events.
Yeah.
On why I've pursued this, journey of vengeance at this point. So I think it's,
Vengeance.
yeah, and she gets a little question. She's like, wait, stuff isn't adding up at this point.
She is now collecting some puzzle pieces, and she's seeing these little details.
She's not dumb.
Heck no.
No.
She's
extremely smart.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
And now on to one of my personal favorite parts of this entire episode.
Hey.
It was the thing when we did our Before Hawkeye episode and kind of talked about it, we knew Yelena was coming. We've heard about it before the show came out. We wanted Kate and Yelena to interact so bad. And we got a good extended scene of it. For
Heck
sure.
yeah.
So girls' night. Over at Kate's freshly charred apartment, the hero in training arrived to find Yelena already waiting for her with a tasty pot of mac and cheese. It was time for some girl talk, which included Yelena criticizing Kate for only having one fork, drowning her macaroni dish in hot sauce, and cackling at Kate, thinking she could kill her. And she definitely doesn't have any weapons on her at all.
Lies, more lies. So, okay, listen. I'm going to say a really bold statement right now.
Okay.
And I don't want to be criticized for it, and I don't want to get any hate for it. But Yelena is quickly becoming my favorite character in the MCU.
It's so hard not to like her. There's so much to her, not even just her comedy and who the actor that plays her, but it's like so many layers to this character, the way we've been introduced to her, where she is now.
Yeah.
Also, she's amazing.
It's just like, I don't understand how one character can be both the comic relief and the scariest thing on the face of the earth.
Within a flip of the switch. We saw that
Exactly.
in Black Widow, and we saw it again in here. And it was like,
She had me literally LOLing. I was laughing out loud and clapping at the screen. I could not stop. But then she would say something, and I'm like, she's so dangerous. I'm so nervous, but yet total guffaws.
Oh, yeah. I did like that Yelena was making mac and cheese, and in the Black Widow movie, in the 1995 flashback, she also asked for mac and cheese. One would say she's a connoisseur of sorts, but I just like that little through line. She loves mac and cheese, guys.
Mac and cheese. It's so easy, right? Now,
She loves
she
it.
says, my father says it's good for you.
Yeah.
Eat this. It's so good.
Their
I love hot sauce.
Their conversation went on for a while, but I can literally watch these two actors for a while. Like, I want the extended deleted scenes of this. These are the type of actors that you just let do their scene. Like, I
Right.
feel like you can't, like, you can direct it and like the emotion or whatever you want to do with it, but like let them just
Yeah, they both know their characters very well, and they're sort of let loose. And it's so much fun to see them being quote unquote let loose in a scene where they're sitting at a table eating macaroni and cheese
out of the pot.
out of the pot. Look,
Right.
we don't know. Maybe something got charred. Maybe Elena can't wait for a bowl, but it's there for them. and I have to say, again, there's just so much about Yelena that I personally love. And I feel like I would get along with her really well. Like,
I feel like I would be intimidated by her immediately.
I would be intimidated by her, and I would want her to love me. And the second she laughs at one of my jokes, I would melt and be like, uh-oh, we're best friends. She likes macaroni and cheese. She thinks Christmas is great because mainly of the lights and the superpowered reindeer. And also, Kate got points in her book for saving a dog in the middle of traffic.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I am Yelena minus being cool, minus being an assassin, minus being awesome, minus being beautiful.
Hey,
but
you're
still
cool.
dabbing. I'm dabbing right now.
Yeah. You know you're cool. Shut up.
I'm just saying Yelena is like, I'm just like tallying up the score, and she's just becoming one of the best people in the MCU.
Yeah. How do you feel about her accent? I feel like a lot of people have been a little like hating on her like they did with Elizabeth Olsen in like Age of Ultron, like her early years as Wanda, and people seem to be doing the same with her. I feel like it sounds like a Russian accent to me.
Well, I think one of the things that worked against Elizabeth Olsen is that they made her sort of lose the accent over time. Right. And so,
which
like,
we're fine with now because I think it was not great.
well, that I agree. But I also was kind of like, well, is she from Sokovia? It's like she grew up in Sokovia her entire life, and then out of nowhere, she sort of lost the accent. Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
She's still in her middle, like her.
No, it's like people that grow up in England and move to America, they still have British accents.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think kind of what's to Florence Pugh's benefit is that they're going to stick with the Russian accent.
I hope so, because it goes so much with not just with the character, but it helps with the comedic delivery of some
Agreed.
things, and she's good at it. It
Yeah.
sounds Russian. I know a Russian person that sounds just like her.
I mean, like, I do accents all the time, and they're horrible, so I'm
Right.
not one to really judge.
That's true.
I do think from an acting standpoint, like in the earlier scene, the first scene with Anna, she slipped out of it a little bit. It felt like it wasn't as strong in one or two of her lines.
Right.
But I think in this conversation with Kate, it's totally cemented in the accent that it is.
Yeah, and I feel like Florence and Haley can really chew on those characters so well.
Mm.
And I love that Florence plays with Yelena's dangerous potential, like an evil cat
Yeah.
toying with the terrified mouse.
And they both the actors know their motivation in these scenes, right? It's like Haley's motivation is to protect Clint and try and convince
She thinks the world of
Yelena
him.
that he's great.
Yeah.
And Yelena's, motivation is I have to kill him and I need to get information from this person. And they are both executing that as actors in a perfect way.
Right. I mean, so like, why is she here? What is this whole meeting for? And it is interesting that Yelena went to Kate in the first place.
Well, I think that Yelena has a respect for young women who are able to lead lives of their own and be powerful and strong.
Right.
That's how she grew up. That's who she continues to be. She's not necessarily a young woman. She's a woman. They're both women. And I think that she sees a little bit of herself in Kate.
Yeah. Well, she's probably also like, wait, why is somebody that killed my sister have this other person
Great
with him
point.
if
Yeah.
he's a murderer?
Yeah, totally.
Question mark.
So, and that's actually a really good point. It's her looking at this person and going, I need to understand you, because if I see myself in you and you see yourself in Clint, what does that say about me?
Yeah. And from what she actually says in this conversation is that she's here in New York for sightseeing. She's got a list of places she wants to see, like the Empire State Building, the new and improved Statue of Liberty with Captain America's shield on it, Rockefeller Center, and also she's here to kill Clint Barton.
Yeah.
Which was obvious, but her telling it to Kate is definitely a power move for sure. And this is where the conversation turns to Clint, and it gets a little dark.
Yeah.
Because Yelena just flat out blames him for Natasha's death, which I can't blame her.
Agreed. And I mean, and she talks about his past. She talks about a lot about, how do someone's actions define who they are, not the things that they say. But she also sort of lets this little tidbit of information loose that she's been hired by someone to kill him.
Right. It's always the person actually pulling the strings, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the series' purposes is to reveal that person.
And it kind of makes me sad, though, that Yelena as a character who is so headstrong is being influenced by someone else. Whether it's Val at Natasha's grave or Kingpin, who's sort of the big bad of this series, it's upsetting that, granted, it's driven by her love for her sister, but she's still being controlled by someone.
Yeah, and I think that's my only problem with her motivations overall. It was a way for them to get her in the show and to make her in the MCU a little longer. But it's almost like she's very smart, and she's, she was freeing widows from the Red Room. For this person, Val, to be like, oh, you need to kill the person that killed your sister, she can't ask anybody. Like, I feel like the manipulation is very high, and it's all based on lies, so it almost feels a little empty almost, because whenever they talk about it, and in this conversation, Kate is like, he's a hero, he's a good person, yeah, he did some terrible things, but he was going through a lot. Natasha kind of helped him through that. He didn't kill her like you're saying it. And Yelena's response is, no, he did. It's a very we get where she's coming from, but it's a little not enough.
Yeah,
almost.
It's like, well, some stranger told me he killed her, so
Right.
I guess that's right.
That knew where Natasha's grave was and
Right.
showed up right when I was there. Also, this confirms that Val had no reason to kill Clint, except that she was hired to hire somebody to kill Clint.
I think you bring up a really good kind of grander question.
Thank you.
What is Val's motivation in all this?
She's just in it for the money,
she's
maybe.
just getting paid,
Yeah.
right? She's just getting paid to be evil, and she doesn't really care. But it just seems like, damn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so through this conversation with macaroni cheese and all
Macaroni cheese.
Yeah. I do like that Kate suggests that she considers the who and why someone would point her towards Clint. You know what I mean? It's like they were on the Avengers together. Maybe you should really think about things a little broader before you're just like, I'm just going to kill this guy. And I get that Yelena wants somebody to pay for Natasha dying, but it's like, the fact is Natasha died of her own accord to save you,
Right.
Yelena, which is kind of actually sweet.
To save, half of the inhabitants in the galaxy. No big deal.
Universe, not even the galaxy, the universe. Yeah.
Universe.
Everybody. Yeah. So she dips out and dives out of the window.
Goodbye.
Widow style.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I could watch forever? These two eating macaroni and cheese, talking.
I'll tell you what, it made me want macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Such a hankering.
Yeah. Even just boxed macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, I'm
Great.
not talking fancy.
Great. Great.
Breadcrumb topping, maybe, but, just
So, with nowhere else to go, Clint finds himself at Grill's apartment. over pizza, which is shared with Pizza Dog, of course. Grills offers Clint a space in his apartment to crash for a while, but Clint can't even make it to the bed before passing out on the couch. Grills for the win. I love that Grills is more involved in this than I initially thought he would be. I thought he was just going to be a cameo, but he's turning out to be one of Clint's good friends, just like he is in the comics.
I mean, I agree, but we also have to be worried about his fate, just like in the comics.
He's going to live. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
I think that he's going to own Lucky the Pizza Dog. I think he's going to keep Lucky.
No, he's going to stay with Kate.
I don't know.
Or he's going to go home.
He's good at training Lucky.
He's going to go home with Clint so he could be with the family.
All right. On a big farm somewhere.
Yeah. And I just realized in the comic, I didn't really think twice about this dog's diet, but in live action, just seeing this dog eat a bowl full of Cheez-Its and then whole pizzas constantly, I'm like, somebody needs to probably take him to the vet or get him some food.
Yeah, I mean,
regular dog food. Come on.
He was in the middle of fights. This dog needs some help.
I am happy though that they didn't show how he lost his eye. So
yeah, we did. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a great difference between the comic and this, because like we had pointed out in our first episode, it's like in the comic we literally see Clint at the vet being like, "Save this dog, no matter what," because he's on the brink of death.
Sweet scene though.
So sweet, but so sad.
Yeah, I don't want to see dog in that position.
No thanks.
Before we leave this scene, I do have to mention that Missy did drop off the new suits that were made for Clint and Kate. We don't see him yet. We're obviously going to see him in the next episode. If you've seen any of the promos or even the pictures they posted, we know what they look like. They're purple.
Purple.
Right.
They're like, it just so happens that Kate's quote unquote archery outfit is purple, and she also wears a purple coat through the city. Guess what? Purple is Hawkeye's color.
Exactly. Knowing what he has to do to settle this once and for all, Clint heads to the Battle of New York's memorial site, talking aloud to Natasha. I just wanted to say I miss you, and I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. As he says it to the plaque of Avengers names. He's apologizing because he's about to put the Ronin suit on again. And he stopped doing that because of Natasha. It's so sweet. I'm really liking this through line of these Avengers seem to have best friends within the Avengers, which is really nice. Like Thor and Hulk really became close. Cap and Tony, really close. Clint and Natasha. It's great. I like this.
I think this scene is really sweet. One of the things that made me kind of feel emotional about it was that he takes his hearing aid out. It's almost like he needs to be with himself. By himself.
He doesn't want to hear all the other noise.
Yeah, to have this moment with Natasha. And it also made me realize kind of Natasha is very much the through line of this Hawkeye series.
Oh, yeah.
She is so much of who Clint is. She's so much of who Yelena is. She's so much of people being back on the earth that they can't help but acknowledge her in every episode.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's one of those things where they have to, and this is like her send off type thing. It's showing the ramifications of the sacrifice she did, although it was needed to be done by somebody. It's nice that they're acknowledging it a little more because we didn't really get that in Endgame.
Yeah,
because yes, granted, Tony did die, so they needed to do that. But you know, Natasha's an original 6. We gotta give her time. But I'm liking that. These movies, it kind of seems like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man stuff, or even the Fantastic Four movies that came out prior to this. It's like the choices did kind of have ramifications, but within those movies, you didn't really expect ramifications to happen 5 movies after the fact or anything like that. So I'm liking that this whole cinematic experience, the longest one in history, is choices from the very first one still have ramifications 25 movies later.
And these television series are really letting us feel those ramifications.
Yeah.
We're in a...
Consequences?
Yeah.
Wait, no. Choices have consequences. I was going to say consequences has choices, but...
Why not both?
I don't feel like that makes sense.
I mean, I think the thing that I'm getting at is like, whereas in a movie, consequence... No.
We don't like that word, apparently.
Okay, choices can be, and their effects can be summed up in a sentence in a movie, whereas we're actually getting whole series to deal with these things.
I like it.
Yeah, it's again, as we always talk about, it's adding depth to the characters.
Yeah, we review this stuff, so we have to use those key words like depth and
motivation.
Yeah, and scenery and choreography.
Got it.
those words. If you hear that, that's because we wanted to say it.
Because speaking.
He then calls Laura to bring her up to speed. Things are getting worse, and he's got to end it once and for all. Though nervous, Laura tells him to do what he needs to do to stop it with a parting, I love you, go end this.
Hello, and what about the key line of her going, and know that I'll understand more than anyone ever could?
That line it's definitely purposeful. It's not like a normal conversation line.
She looked directly in the camera.
Well, she looked directly in the phone.
Exactly.
It said
FaceTime.
No, there's some lines that they say in dialogue, especially in these very connected and continuous things, where it's like, that is the part of the dialogue that had to stay in that sentence. Like, you know how sometimes actors can like ad-lib or whatever, but there's like, you have to say this in this scene to make the next one make sense.
There were actually a couple of lines in this. There was one from Kate, one from Yelena, and this one from Laura that like I pictured the actors like highlighting and circling and being like, this truly means something.
Right.
You know, and when you're an actor, that's what you're looking for in a script, to say like, why am I saying these things and what could they possibly mean in the totality of my character and the world I'm inhabiting? And this line, I think, had yellow highlighter, pink highlighter, circled in red pen, some exclamation points, maybe in a glitter.
Star stickers.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So yeah, I mean, because there's a glaring thing missing from this episode and really not mentioned at all, and it's the watch. The thing that started the series almost doesn't really get a mention, then kind of gets a mention, and then it keeps going back and forth. So I think it's safe to say that this watch has to do with Laura.
Yeah, I'm in your knowledge, does Mockingbird have a watch or something?
Well, no, but I think like it's one of those things where it's like we never knew there was more to Laura to begin with. So this is that MacGuffin, this is that thing that's like, oh, by the way, because by the end of the series, we're going to have to find out what the hell this watch has to do with anything. And it almost makes sense that it has to do with Laura.
Yeah. I mean, I think really, right, we don't know how Clint and Laura became Clint and Laura. It's like, what tied them together? How did a brainwashed trained assassin have a wife and a family? Well, they must have a shared similar past.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we didn't even know she existed until Age of Ultron, and this was after he was already introduced into it, which was kind of smart. And I like that they gave him a family, because in the comics, he doesn't really have a stable family or anything like that. But it gave some likability to the character, and it actually turned out to be a good thing for this series. Mm-hmm. He has that motivation to get home for the holidays. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it could turn out to be an identity of somebody that's close to them, not Laura. I mean, who knows?
True.
But also, like, what did Mockingbird do to where nobody can find out that clearly Laura's not in action anymore? So I'm curious. I don't know. We'll
retired.
See.
She just retired.
Right. So next we get straight to voicemail. Never one to take things lying down. Kate realizes that she doesn't want to give up on Clint. Even after Yelena's warning, I know you said it's over, but it's not over for me, she tells into Clint's voicemail. Then what does she do? She leaves half a dozen other voicemails before completely filling up his mailbox with rambling messages. This isn't over, Barton. I'm going to find you and kill you. No, I'm just kidding. It's very Taken vibes at the end, the very last message that she left. But I did like this moment because it gave Kate... every scene almost in each episode kind of shows that she is kind of a kid still. And this seems like a very, like... I'm just going to keep calling you because I can't say everything I want to say, and my emotions are going to just keep changing within all of these voicemails to begin with. I liked it. I like this scene.
Yeah, I like this scene
little
too.
Comedic relief.
We needed it because things get heavy.
Yeah. Yep. Clint, as Ronin, sends a message to Maya via a message arrow through a tracksuit's Trust a Bro truck windshield and asks Maya to come and meet him at the place where they first met alone. Maya isn't dumb, obviously, and knows it's a trap. She brings backup, which Clint quickly takes care of, including Kazi, before facing off with her. I loved this fight. Every fight that Clint and Maya have had, I loved it because it shows that she is formidable. The actor's amazing. The choreography in this show, when it's hand-to-hand, is fantastic, and I love her fighting style.
Oh, so much kicking, so much flipping. It's phenomenal. And I like that, you know, we see him sort of taking down the Trust Bros, the Tracksuit Mafia, but he can't take Maya down that easily.
Yeah, and he doesn't kill any of them. as he's in the Ronin costume. So I hope Maya notices that at some point. Like, despite what she thinks about Ronin, he didn't kill any of them. And I think that's a big difference that I hope she does connect at some point.
I'm a changed Ronin. I'm a changed man.
So as they fight, it did seem like Maya almost got the upper hand a few of the times, which she should because she's an amazing fighter. But in the end, Clint does come out on top because he is an Avenger and he's pretty skilled at what he does.
And he also has Kate waiting in the wings.
Right. He doesn't know she's there, though.
True.
Right. Pulling off the Ronin hood to reveal himself to a shocked Maya.
Hi, it's me. Hi.
Hi. Clint tries to explain that the two of them are the same. Weapons filled with rage can be manipulated, which, yes, that is true, but she's made that way because you killed her father.
She literally saw you put a sword through his stomach.
Right. So it's like, yes, technically you both are the same. You both have motivations because your family was blipped, turned you into Ronin. That's how you decided to deal with your grief.
Yeah.
You, dealing with your grief, killed her father, which then set her on this path. So she doesn't have that closure because her dad didn't come back.
Yeah, it's like grief and vengeance, although the same words can play out differently for people, and you literally took her only family member away from her.
Right. And she's obviously not buying it because she thinks that he's a monster.
But she has a sword to her face, so, she's got to kind of buy it in this moment.
Clint tries to explain that he was there the night her father died because he was tipped off by an informant who works for Maya's boss. Maya again doesn't buy that, but it seems to be like, okay, interesting. Clint tries to further explain that Maya's boss wanted her dad dead, and just as they are about to fight again, Clint sends a flying arrow to disarm Maya. So just like the comics, Kingpin, because we know he's the boss, the head honcho of this, sent somebody to kill Maya's dad. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what happened in the comics. He was Kingpin's number 2. He wanted him dead because he was getting in the way for, just kind of crime lord reasons. It's the same reason. But the unfortunate thing is the sword that plunged through his heart was that of Clint, which brings us to this moment. So it just makes things a little more complicated because this guy is a hero.
Yeah, Avril Lavigne, why'd you have to go and make a thing so complicated, Clint?
Okay.
Not okay.
Maya goes to talk to Kazi and demands answers from him. He was in town the night her father was murdered.
Okay.
So why wasn't he at the tracksuit meeting? Kazi doesn't have a solid answer, obviously, and Maya takes off on her bike because he's the one that tipped off Ronin. We know this now, but it's sad because one, he's kind of her communication within the tracksuit mafia / the boss, because from what he has said and what we've seen, he's the only one that knows ASL.
Yeah, and I think it's sad also because throughout his time with Maya in the series, he's trying to get her to stop this. And, in one instance, it's because if she keeps digging, she's going to find out that it's him that started this. But on the other hand, it's does he really care for her? Does he still want to be in her life?
I think he's just trying to save his ass.
Oh, okay. He said selfish.
Yeah, he's not, he still works for the same boss.
Yeah, but if he didn't tip off Ronin, then what would have happened to him? Why is he in this situation? I'm just saying.
Well, because Kingpin wanted her dad dead.
Right, but why is Kazi such a pawn of Kingpin's?
I don't know.
He's afraid of dying.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I'm not trying to stick up for him, but I'm just saying, what the heck?
Yeah. I guess it will all come. We're probably not going to know until her series. This is why she's getting a series, because probably her quest for vengeance / becoming a hero is not going to happen until her series.
Quest for vengeance.
So Clint and Kate escape. That's why I said Cape instead of Kate, via rideshare for Tabitha, which I had asked Derek, did she steal somebody's rideshare? But he was like, no, that's probably the alias. Kate used the alias Tabitha.
Fancy.
I feel like that's probably the worst name for an alias. No offense to anybody to name Tabitha, but it's that name is too different to be inconspicuous.
I don't know. Tabitha feels fancy to me. I felt like that night she was feeling fancy. She's like, I'm just
Right,
Tabitha.
but that's not something you tell somebody where you don't want them to notice you. Like, say your name is, I don't know.
Kate.
Kate. It's not your superhero alias. Like, come on. I'm just saying. During the ride, Kate confesses to Clint that she and Yelena had a girls' night. She also informs him that she's Nat's sister. Clint, oh, that Yelena? It's coming together for Clint. He has a lot going on, but I like that he's like, oh yeah, she did have a sister.
Yeah, in the words of Celine Dion, it's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now.
You've done three music references.
You're welcome. It's a musical evening.
So far. This wouldn't be the penultimate episode without more bad news to set up the finale via some shocking texts. Yelena informs Kate that she took her advice and looked into who hired her. Good. I'm glad people are listening to each other now at this point. Yelena texts Kate about Eleanor. That was kind of a lot of weird names to say after each other. And they're meeting with Kingpin. Exclamation point, exclamation point. She's still using Kate's full name.
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop, which she used as a power move earlier in the episode. I still love that she did that in the text message. She's like, Kate Bishop, I did what you asked. Also, she has major style while undercover.
Oh, yeah.
She follows Eleanor through the street, but she just looks amazing.
She said, I got my hair up in a little bun. I got some tendrils. Okay, here's my little brown furry coat because I'm in style.
She's not like the Avengers when they're undercover, which is a baseball hat, a leather jacket of some sort, and a gray t-shirt.
No. She's trying to blend in. She is having her Sex and the City moment.
She's in New York. People look like that all the time.
It's her first time.
Right.
Get it, girl.
That said, she felt like Kate deserved to know her mother, who her mother was hired by, which I liked.
Can we just like flash forward to like the new set of Avengers when Kate is Hawkeye officially and Yelena is Black Widow officially, and they're working together on the same team? They're going to be besties.
Or become lovers. I mean, that's what I'm holding
Oh
out for.
My gosh.
But we
That would be
don't know.
amazing.
We don't know what the. I mean, did they form the West Coast Avengers? Did they become in the new Avengers? Does Yelena go off to be in the Thunderbolts / Dark Avengers? Does Kate become Hawkeye and replace him because either he retired or he dies? I don't. There's so many questions that we have no idea what's going to happen.
We need more of both of them. Is the point?
Yeah. So in this scene, Kate passes the phone to Clint because she's like, "Who was with my mom?" And he's like, "That's the guy I've been worried about this whole time, Kingpin." You couldn't have said his name earlier? I know for episode and writing purposes, it was like the build-up for
We needed that cliffhanger.
Right. But Vincent D'Onofrio is in
back.
the MCU as Kingpin. It was... I love that. I've noticed this with all of the MCU shows so far. The real villain who's been lurking behind who has been the real villain all along. It's been a great tradition. We've gotten Agatha Harkness, John Walker, the He Who Remains, and now Kingpin. These are the guys that have been behind it the whole time, but haven't really been the forefront antagonist / villain for our main protagonists in the show.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do want to talk about one moment when they are going to Grell's apartment. Clint takes an arrow and he passes it.
Oh,
Kate.
yeah.
And they both hold on to it for a second.
Slow-mo, yeah.
And then she fully takes it from him. And that, to me...
Passing the mantle?
Exactly.
/ arrow?
Yes. Is the literal symbol of him passing the Hawkeye mantle to her.
Can I make a prediction or more of a... I really hope this happens.
Yes.
I hope that for Christmas, Kate gets a collapsible bow from Hawkeye.
Cute. Good ideas.
Officially cementing her as Hawkeye. Because, not for nothing, but it's ever since she's like, what do you do with the bow? And he's like, I have a collapsible one. I've noticed it so much more in the episodes because she's just walking around the streets and getting into Ubers with a giant bow.
Exactly.
Which is a weapon when you have a quiver full of arrows on your back.
Do you think he'll figure out a way to give her heart's desire, aka a boomerang arrow?
Oh, yeah.
Totally, right?
It's like in the gift box that she gets under the tree from Santa Hawkeye is going to be a collapsible bow and also a boomerang arrow. I want that to happen.
Same.
Putting it out into the universe. We have one episode left.
I can't believe we only have one episode of this.
It's going to be a huge cliffhanger, just like Loki was a big cliffhanger. We know that there's possibly going to be another season, or the characters' stories are going to continue.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how... So obviously with D'Onofrio being in this as the character he played in the Netflix Daredevil show, the Netflix the MCU stuff has been in the MCU. It's kind of like unofficially, officially canon, but like you can't just mention the Battle of New York and it'd be like, okay. So I'm curious to see if this is just a continuation of those characters, because I think it's safe to say we can expect other characters from that to show up, or is it like a soft reboot of this, kind of like the Suicide Squad? You know how they did like a soft reboot, but it was with the same characters, but people loved it a little more than the original one.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be interesting because like where Daredevil ended, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the Defenders, all of that, Iron Fist, if they make their way into this, it's like, how did nobody notice this stuff before?
Yeah. I mean, this is always a big question that I have. It's like, I get it. We're all in our own storylines, but so many of these storylines take place
in New
York City. Not
right.
New York, the state, New York City, Manhattan, Queens, the Bronx. It's like they're 5 boroughs. If you look at a map, they're kind of small compared to the rest of the states. Like, how do we not know that they guys are existing?
Yeah, I think that's one of the fun things about this whole MCU thing is like, how do these things get introduced? How were they not around when things were happening? You know, that kind of thing. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it's more like street level stuff, so I don't know. But in the Defender show, quite a bit happened.
I mean, is it just like...
Nobody was blipped in there, I'm just saying.
Ooh, girl. I mean, is it just like, I don't know, it's like crime happens. And it's like, so there's crime and there's also heroes. And it just happens. And if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
You know?
Nevertheless, I'm very excited where this is going. I'm very excited if and when Matt Murdock gets introduced into the MCU, but I really want Jessica Jones. I loved that show, and I love the actors that were in it, and I'm hoping that happens at some point. Just saying.
I do think it's exciting, you know, to see if all of these sort of like sub-series that existed outside the MCU will make their way to the main timeline.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions for the finale?
I think there is going to be a lot happening at the Bishop Securities Christmas party.
Oh, for sure.
I think that they're going to be dressed fancy, and at some point they're going to have to take off their fancy clothes and have their brand new Hawkeye branded outfits from the LARPers.
Yeah, I mean, just going off of like the promos and the trailers, we've seen in the trailers, which we haven't seen in the show yet, Clint running through a fancy looking place with the suit on, getting shot at, probably the Christmas party. We saw them in the Rockefeller ice skating rink, back to back with arrows drawn and people around them. So we can expect those two scenes for sure.
I just really want some honest to goodness nods to comic book costumes. I want Vera Farmiga to have a mask on. I want the swordsman to have swords. I want Kazi to be a painted clown.
No.
Come on.
No, it's Christmas. Don't
give
put
me that. No, it makes it scary, makes it spooky and dangerous, man.
I feel like there's too much to have the Kazi thing almost, but I'm actually curious if Kingpin's even going to show up. Because if you notice, it wasn't a picture that Yelena sent Kate, it was a video. So I'm sure that the next episode is going to start with that video.
Them
that's
kissing.
Ew, God, don't. Oh, she's with Jack.
Which we don't think is authentic.
Okay, well, but
we're proving our point.
But what would be the reason for them to be together?
For smooching and being an evil dynamic duo.
But they were together before Kate was with Hawkeye.
It's her dad.
What? Stop. I think they're trying to make a gross relationship work when nobody believes it.
Ew.
That's what's happening. Yeah, I mean, there's too much to happen. But I wonder if Kingpin's actually going to show up in the episode, or we're just going to have to wait for Echo's series because she has a lot to do with Kingpin in the first place. So
sure. All right. So shall we get into the special segment?
Sure.
All right. It's time for another installment of Oh, for Christmas sake.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something interesting.
It better be.
Rude. Okay. I wrote a list of like, oh, for Christmas sake, Christmas memories. And this one came up and I'm like, oh, this is funny. But then as I thought about it more, some dark stuff is actually attached to this memory.
Great. Why don't we make
So like, should I get into the dark stuff or just leave it?
When people say that, you want to know, but then also like, why do you really want it to be dark? Sure.
I don't know. I think it has to paint the entire experience. Okay, so I'll just do it. So,
trying to convince yourself to do it is what's happening.
Yes. Well, it's funny because in a book group today, we were discussing Ola Poppy, which is a book that we discussed in our plot twist bonus episode for our Patreon members. And one of the passages that I talked about was the axe forgets, but the tree remembers.
Right.
Right. And so,
oh no.
So people who cause past trauma, they'll forget about it, but you'll always remember. So I was thinking about this story. And so in 8th grade, right? So at my school, every winter, they had a craft fair. And so each grade would make a craft of some sort, right? When I was in kindergarten, we literally just glued pins to the back of wooden angels and then they sold them, right? So like, great. Not whatever it was. And then
googly eyes. That's what I would have done.
In 8th grade, the 8th graders traditionally always baked cookies, and then they sold these baked cookies.
That's not a craft.
Sure, it's not a craft, but delicious.
It's like the snacks for the craft fair.
like, would you want a popsicle stick reindeer or to eat some cookies?
Oh, for sure. Cookies.
Right? But the popsicle stick reindeer was adorable, and I still have it. Anyway.
I just like how you're like, there's a craft fair. We made cookies.
So one year, the two classes, and my class stuck to tradition and made cookies. The other 8th grade class decided to make molded chocolates. Okay. So
that's
it was
a cop out. That's a little easier.
OMG, how dare you break from tradition?
Right.
So the only cookie recipe that I ever had in my life was literally like the Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie. And like my mom made them all the time. And so my job was to get the recipe. My partner's job was to get like some of the ingredients and the utensils. And so my mom wouldn't give me the like cut out recipe that she had. So I wrote it on a piece of paper. Now, sidebar, 8th grade was when I was being horribly bullied.
Okay.
And so I have such a visceral memory now. When I was thinking about this, I had taken the piece of paper out of my desk that had the recipe written on it. And on the corner of the paper, someone wrote, "You're a fag."
Okay.
And so I ripped that corner off and my partner was next to me and they were like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Nothing." And I just like kind of crumpled it and put it in my pocket. So I went to go bake these cookies and here's the corner sort of like reminding me that I'm an other and I'm supposed to feel bad about myself, yada, yada, yada. So then we get to the recipe and it called for something like an 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda.
Why not just a full teaspoon?
Okay. And also, as a 13-year-old, it's like, WTF is an 1/8 of a teaspoon.
I mean, most people would say that because in a normal measuring thing, you get like a 1/2 and a 1/4.
Exactly.
Like not
and so the measuring spoons that we had only had a 1/2 of a teaspoon.
Right.
So we call our teacher over, who just happened to be the math teacher, and we're like, Sister Ann, because it's a Catholic school, we're like, Sister Ann, what's an 1/8 of a teaspoon? And she looked at us and she was like, I don't know. Figure it out.
Point proven. Normal people are like, I don't know.
She didn't even know.
Right.
And she was the math teacher. So we panicked. Okay.
The whole box.
We actually just put like a pinch in. We're like, I guess that'll be enough. These were the flattest pancake cookies that anyone had ever seen.
No.
But I will say that they were the most delicious because the rest of the kids decided to try and make fancy cookies, which they couldn't pull off. So our very flat chocolate chips, although were littered with my tears, were still delicious.
Jeez. Okay.
But why didn't the math teacher just teach us about what 1/8 of a teaspoon is?
She's not there to help you with baking. She's there to tell you the hypotenuse of a rhombus.
Math is in life. Teach us, Sister Ann, please.
No, I mean, math is in life, but not the math that they pretty much teach us for most of our education.
Very true.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're going to be a geometrist.
I could tell you how much carpet to put in a room. by finding the area of the rectangle,
Right. That's fine.
but I can't tell you how much of an eighth of a teaspoon is.
No. Home ec should be required for people.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Totally. I don't know how to cut wood. I don't know how to bake nothing.
Thrown into the world with not knowing what a bank is and where money comes from and what an eighth of a teaspoon is, it's not fun.
Doomed.
Yeah.
Doomed.
Doomed to fail.
For sure.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any cooking Christmas stories.
You know, that wasn't the
Holiday
most
stories.
cheerful one. I apologize. But I think it's reality. And thank you for listening to my diary of being a gay eighth grader.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Oh my God.
Thanks for listening to A Bite Of, artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at A Bite Of Pod and on Facebook at A Bite Of. If you have questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can email us at abiteofpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate and review to spread the word. Hope you join us next time on A Bite Of. Bye.